Welcome back to Mark Haney, igniting the entrepreneurial revolution with the Haney Biz Project.
Welcome back to the Haney Biz Project, brought to you courtesy of Hub International. I'm Mark Haney, and today I have the pleasure of bringing on Colonel Larry Broadwell. How you doing, Colonel?
Doing great. It's an awesome day in Sacramento.
I appreciate you being here, and today we've been talking about leadership, and you are a leader, a colonel over at Beale Air Force Base. We want to get to know you and your story. Maybe walk us through your background and how you ended up here at Beale.
Sure. So I grew up as an Army kid. My dad served 20 years in the United States Army. Eventually, I found the light and decided to join the Air Force.
Okay, yes.
That's right. So I joined the Air Force. I'm a 22-year airman now, so I've served in the Air Force.
What did your dad think
years.
about that? Was he all right with that?
Well, he realizes after many years living in a tent in foxholes that the Air Force is good, clean living. So he realized I wised up.
Got it. Okay, so you grew up as an Army brat, moving all over the country, and then tell us that story of how you progressed to now.
Yeah, so I like many young kids, I had an interest in flying, and I figured if I'm going to fly, I might as well fly for the Air Force. And so I walked down to the local strip mall and went to the recruiters' offices and see, does the Navy want to hire me? Or does the Air Force want to hire me? And I actually walked by the Navy recruiter's office, and it said, close for lunch, be back at 3. So I walked to the Air Force recruiter's office, and the rest was history.
Is that right? Wow,
true.
you were almost a Navy man, huh?
I don't know if they would have had me hooked, but I was going to at least consider them.
Interesting. Okay, so you signed up, you got in the game. Talk to us about what it took in terms of leadership to work your way up the ranks to now you're a colonel.
Well, like most, I would guess most career fields, most entrepreneurial experiences, you got to learn your craft first. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I did. Spent many, many years learning how to be a pilot, learning to be the best pilot I could. And eventually, I was no longer just in the Air Force. Kind of the Air Force got into me, and I wanted to serve. That's what motivated me. And the way you're going to serve in the military and in many aspects of what you're trying to do in the community is learning to lead.
Learning to lead and getting in the game. We talked earlier about you spending some time in Iraq. Talk to us about how that may have shaped you and your leadership style and changed you as a person.
That's great. So this is a great segue. So there's as a young fighter pilot in the Air Force, you're pretty crass. You figure out that you know the right answer, and you train to bring people along. But one of the things I learned in Iraq was leading through relationships. So I was given a task where, as a young major at the time, they were asking me to stand up a particular office. It was called the Office of Security Cooperation, as part of the Iraqi staff.
And that's in Baghdad area?
It was in Baghdad, you bet. But you know what? It wasn't just a military effort. It was a combination of the military and the State Department. And so the idea that the young major was going to walk into the room and tell these folks what to do is just, it wasn't going to work.
Right.
So I needed to learn that before I started working problems, I needed to work on some relationships, and I always carried that with me.
And then how did that work out for you? So you spent some time in
Not
Iraq.
very well, initially.
Because, these are the ambassadors and that kind of thing, right? So you're coordinating this effort and... right, there's a lot of egos in the effort. What does that look like today?
Well, there's always egos and agendas in the room. I think those that are most effective in that environment have a real keen sense to be able to pick out what those egos and those issues are and be able to work through them. Just understand that it's part of being a human. And if you can work and strengthen relationships first, getting problems solved is actually easier if you do that first.
So that experience, you come home. Obviously, you're in a war zone area in a very difficult time. Now you come back. You're a veteran. You've earned your stripes in harm's way. You come back. Talk to us about returning and the ascent in leadership from there.
So as the commander of the 9th Reconnaissance Wing at Beale, I'm responsible for the entire enterprise of Air Force high-altitude ISR. And what does that mean? There's a fleet of dozens of very expensive and exquisite aircraft and about 7,000 airmen that are deployed around the globe, providing this information, providing this mission for for our most senior leaders. And it's not just me that does it. What you'll hear if you come to the ninth wing and listen to what I insist upon those that are part of the team is that everybody's a leader. You have to lead at all different levels. I have the benefit of a certain position and a certain rank that makes certain things easier for me, but the newest, youngest airman that's just cutting his or her teeth on being in the military, they need to lead too. So everybody, leadership is more than just a position or an expectation.
You don't need a title to be a leader.
Of course not.
So, on this show, this show is about winning, which in my mind, winning is not what it says on the scoreboard necessarily. Winning is what you are doing when you are at your very best, right?
Yeah.
When you are, we call it banging, right? When you're banging, when you're at your very best opportunity, that's a real good thing. That's how you get ahead in life. That's how you get ahead in business. I'm assuming that's how you get ahead.
It is.
In the military, but there's also a time where you're hanging, right? Hanging is the relaxed downtime. We all need that as well. But when we get caught in between, we're not really at our very best. We're not even really relaxing. Things don't go so well. So I'm wondering from you, how do you get your teammates to be banging, right, at their very best opportunity? What goes into it from your perspective?
So I think that a lot of times we need to focus on purpose.
Okay.
Too much time we focus on activities. Hey, what's the bottom line? What's the activity of the day that we're working on? We don't spend enough time thinking about our purpose.
Yeah, know why.
The power of why we're doing something, why I serve in the military, why you're doing this for the community, that's so much more powerful than figuring out, hey, we're going to do an interview today. It's, hey, let's focus on why we're doing this. That's a great motivator. And I think the more time we spend focusing on why, what our purpose is, making sure it's the right purpose, the more successful you can make the team.
Well, let's talk about America. At the end of every show, we play the national anthem, and America is a leader in the world. How do you view America now and our awesome responsibility that we have as a leader of the world?
You bet. So our ideals are unmatched. I mean, the ideals of freedom and justice, the ideals of self-determination, and all the ideals that are spelled out in our Constitution, that's what sets us apart. That and our culture. I think leaders need to focus on the culture of their organization. The more my tour at Beale is coming to an end. And as it comes to an end, Broadwell is going to be gone, and the next Broadwell is going to show up. And the indelible prints I leave on the organization is the culture of the organization.
Yeah.
And so that's what I try to focus on. So our ideals that we are founded on, that's what makes us special. Our culture is what makes us special.
Yeah.
And I encourage people to, if they're ever in a bad place, and they're ever worried about where our country's headed, take a little time and reflect on where we've been, and you'll know that we're always headed in a positive way.
I love it. Well, thinking about you and living here in the Sacramento area, living there at Beale with your family, you got a couple kids, you're married. How has Sacramento treated you? And then I want to talk about what are the next steps for you beyond Sacramento?
It's been great. So I never imagined I'd live in California, but we have quickly fallen in love with this part of the community. And I was joking on the way over when my son found out we were moving to California. He's like, "Awesome, Dad! I need a surfboard and
Nice.
a wetsuit." I'm like, "Dude, wrong part of California. I need to get you a cowboy hat and some boots." And so we got them appropriately attired, and we are immersed in the community and loving every day.
And so next steps for Larry Broadwell?
I don't know. You can ask my boss. I have no idea.
You have not been told yet. You just know that
No.
your tour of duty here at Beale will come to an end, and you will move somewhere from here.
You bet.
Wondering how your family must think now. As a guy who's used to this happening, it's part of the job. But having a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old and a wife who's making friends here in the community, I mean, to pick up and leave and not even know where you're going to go.
Yeah.
How do you lead that situation?
So maybe I don't. Maybe sometimes you need to be subordinate. So let the spouse lead. So I'll tell you that we serve as a team. I mean, our family serves as a team, and Team Broadwell loves what we do, and we're going to keep serving as long as they ask us to, because it's special. Being able to serve your nation is special.
And just some closing thoughts for our listeners. Our listeners are a range of people who want to be entrepreneurs, who are entrepreneurs, but I think everybody listening wants to progress in their life, and part of that is leading, right, and setting that example. Any closing thoughts or words of wisdom that we can leave our audience with?
I would. So, I'd be real careful about how you define success. We often want to do it with some material things, let's just say. But in the end, the more time I spend on this planet, the more time I realize those things just aren't aren't important. So how do you really define your success? And in the end of the day, for me, that means, was I able to serve my country? Do I have my health intact? Is my family by my side? And if those things are all there, then I was successful.
Colonel Larry Broadwell sharing his thoughts. I want to thank you, Colonel, for coming on the show today. Very inspiring for me. I know that you've inspired a number of others, and thank you for what you do for our country. When we return, I will be joined by Mito Eldon. He is the leader of our marketing company here at Haney Biz. Mito and I will be talking about social media and leveraging celebrity status as a way of influencing, as a way of leading and attacking our target market. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, courtesy of the Entrepreneurs Organization of Sacramento and law firm Greenberg Traurig. This is the Haney Biz Project.